next we're going to have Melvin Everson speak, and he is going to tie it all together for us about where things stand with how the workforce develops and where we are with education in Georgia, because we are not filling those gaps well, and there's so much more we could be doing to make our children successful, because at the end of their educational lives, what is it we want for them? We want an entry point for them into a robust middle-class life so that they can take care of their family and enjoy the life that we've enjoyed, and that they can go on and they can give it to their children, grandchildren. And that doesn't mean everybody has to have a 4-year degree. It may mean they need technical training. There's a whole lot of things. A superintendent that I met, and as y'all know, I'm not a big fan of superintendents. I'll say I don't like that. But I met one I really liked. And I spoke with him. He's a Hall County superintendent, and he said, "Hey Nancy, there's a lot of academic arrogance that's going on. You know, everybody doesn't need this 4-year degree. Everybody doesn't need, you know, to get a degree in philosophy and sit on their mama's sofa." So, and he talked about the things they're doing in Hall. They're doing some amazing things. I'm going to blog about that. I've written a couple of pieces that I haven't published about my meeting with him. He is doing some amazing things and connecting, like Melvin well knows, what's going on in the workplace, what's that entry ramp into middle class life, successful life, and how does that connect with education. So I'm thrilled that Melvin's here to chat with us, and I'm thrilled that there are people thinking about these issues in Georgia and making them happen. So thanks for coming, and take it over.
Thank you, Nancy. You know, in the words of Elizabeth Taylor to her 7 husbands, I won't keep you long.
That's why he's here. That's why he's here. Oh, and we have Representative Taylor speaking. I'm sorry, he's not the end. You're the end.
I hate fault. Milton.
I know. Now you've got it back.
That's it.
But thank you all so much in your interest in education. I'm a firm believer, as all of you are here, that education, you can't put it in a box. We have to think outside the box when it comes to education in this country. For too long, we have siloed our individual students here to go in one direction. Siloed meaning everyone's going to go to tech, university, but let me share with you some real life examples of what I've seen out there. And I've been in all 159 counties in this state. I'm executive director, governor's office of workforce development. I have visited every technical college in this state, and over 90% of the universities in this state. I've been on those campuses, I've spoken to the president. Let me share what's taking place. We need real education reform in this state and in this country. And I'm going to give you some stats to prove that. I firmly believe that education will be the civil rights issue of the 21st century. Once you hear these stats, you're going to agree with me. This nation used to be number 1 when it came to education. We've slipped to number 11. I attended an education policy forum out in Denver, Colorado about 2 years ago. The vice president, the executive director there of the big airplane manufacturing company that Boeing, South Carolina, that they fought to get down there. He shared with us in 2010, all the universities in this country, we graduated more students with a sports medicine degree than we did engineering. That's troublesome to me. Because jobs follow research, development, and design. If we're not turning out those individuals, it's hurting us. Do you know, every May and June we have these commencement exercises from our high schools, and we march these students across the stage, and we tell them you have satisfied all the criteria set forth by the State Board of Education, therefore you are awarded this diploma. Do you know a large percentage of them spend their first semester in college taking remedial courses? To the tune, on the technical college level, Commissioner Jackson shared with me that we are spending $1.3 million for remedial courses. Houston, we have a problem in our K-12 system. We are not preparing these students for colleges. We're not preparing them to be successful once they arrive at college. Now we can stick our heads in the sand and pretend we don't have an issue, we have an issue. Dunwood is doing exceptionally well. In my county, Gwinnett County, we have some great public schools. But when I travel to places like Elkins County, out from Valdosta, or down in Pulaski County, out from Hawkinsville, or from Sparta County, Hancock County, and I see the desire of those students who want to learn. But Rich, you hit the nail on the head. Good example here. I was in Thomasville, Georgia, visiting a GED class. I stereotyped the class before I got in there. Not by race, but by age. I was expecting to see a large percentage of elderly people. And there were 50-some students in that class. Do you realize 75% of them were under the age of 30? I asked the teacher, I said, it helped me understand what I'm witnessing here. She said, Mr. Everson, it's simple. Some of them, they have some issues at home. But the vast majority of them, they don't see any relevance to the rigor that they're getting in the classroom. What am I saying? All the Johnnies and Susies will not go to Georgia Tech or University of Georgia. They're not going to make it. And we're going to have to expose them to other career path options. That's why the governor launched Go Build Georgia. There are great opportunities in our technical college system. Do you realize a person coming out of a technical school, on average, makes more than a person coming out of University of Georgia with a BS degree? Their placement rates are 95%. We're going to have to balance what we're producing here in Georgia. I'm not advocating not to prepare them for college. We still need to prepare them for college. But at the same time, we have to expose them to other career path options. That's a GED program down in Thomasville. I asked the instructor, I said, help me understand. She said, it's something they don't see any relevance to the rigor. They want to know, a good percentage of those students, what else is out there that I can do and provide a decent living for my family with my hands. See, when I came through school, you had auto mechanic, high school, you had industrial art, you had home economics, you had woodwork. And you wonder why all these career academies are popping up over Georgia with all of these career tracks, with these students to expose them. So when they march across that state, whether they decide to go to the University of Georgia, to Georgia Tech, or go to a technical college to get that certificate or that degree and enter into the workforce, because there are only two things we all should be concerned about in the field of education or as a parent. Two things. When that person comes out of that institution of learning, two things should take place. Either they're going to become an entrepreneur, start their own business and put people to work by hiring those individuals, or they're going to work to someone else. Education is economic development, and for too long, Nancy, we have separated the two. The academians have been on this side, and the entrepreneurs and the business leaders have been on this side. We have to merge that energy, that synergy, to let them know that when you come out of these institutions of learning, it's economic development because we are dependent on what you're producing to hire and put in our workforce. I had the vice president of Northrop and Grumman come in my office and say, Mr. Everson, I advertised for 2 weeks for some highly skilled engineering positions in Georgia. Started them off with $65,000 a year. He said, I had to pull the ad. I couldn't find it. Right now, Georgia Power, with the expansion of their plant, do you realize they're having to import welders from out of state because we can't find enough in our workforce here? The carpet industry up in Dalton shared with me, we will need 4,000 maintenance technicians within 2 years because our workforce will be retiring. And we're starting these individuals off at $45,000 to $50,000 a year. In the medical field, radiology technician, we're lacking. And that's why Governor wants Go Build Georgia to get these students in those areas to make sure our workforce is ready to meet the demands when these jobs come knocking. Because if we don't have the workforce, North Carolina looks good. South Carolina, Alabama, Florida. So our mission and our goal is to make sure Georgia's workforce is the best educated and trained that you will find anywhere on the planet. And with the help of the legislature, like Representative Taylor, Senator Fran Miller down at the Capitol, to continue to make Georgia a business-friendly state, by addressing tax issues, by addressing education issues, real education reform. I don't know about the rest of you all, but I'm tired of being 48 out of the 50 states when it comes to education. I've heard that since I was knee-high to a graduate. It's time to put the metal to the pedal and make some significant changes. And I'm for public school, private school, charter school, homeschool. Whatever it takes to educate these children, we need to do it. Because I'm looking at students who have a desire to succeed, but they don't have the right and proper guidance to get there, and they're not prepared in a way that they feel they should be prepared. And I would encourage all of you to Google 12 for Life. 12 for Life, a program out in Carroll County, where the CEO of Southwire Company went to the Board of Education and said, you have a problem because you're suffering 30% high school dropout rate. We want to address that. And what we're proposing to you, Mr. Superintendent, is that we're going to take $10 million of our own money and you turn those at-risk kids over to us. And what we're going to do with them, we're going to give them a job. They're going to work 4 hours a day. We're going to assign a tutor, and we're going to assign a mentor to them to make sure they graduate on time. That program has been so successful until they projected to have 117 graduate first year. They had 417. And when you hear the testimonies of those students saying how much of a difference this made in their life with real world application to what's being taught in the classroom, like one said, you know, you told me, and they pay them, by the way, and they incentivize their pay if you report to work on time, if you good co-worker, safety, and it's an extra 50 cents. And one student got his paycheck, and he said, well, I thought you said I was making $10.55 an hour. I did, and he said, what are all these taxes for? It's an opportunity to bring it back to what they were imparted in the classroom. And it's amazing to see the difference in the lives of those students because they now understand there are some other options out there. I don't have to end up in the correctional system because that's where they're going to be if they're not gainfully employed. And we all will pay for that. And I don't want to see that. So it's incumbent upon us as concerned parents. And just to echo what she said, when I was in the House of Representatives down there was nothing that got my attention more than a face-to-face meeting or a phone call. Those formatted emails, you're exactly right. Get involved. And I know it's difficult for some of you because you're working parents and etc. But invest that time because we need you. I'm here to tell you. We need you now more than ever. And local control is the way to go. Now, as I was telling Congressman Kingston, he said, Melvin, you were in Macon the other day. I am not running for anything. Put that out there. I am not running for anything. I just love my state. I love my country. And it pains me to see what's happening right now in the area of education because if we're not careful, we will be losing this battle. And another thing I want to say, and I'll close out because I have an Armenian delegation, about 15, coming over to talk to us about EEOC issues. There is, and I shared this with you, the Finland phenomenon. And I know the country of Finland is different demographically than we are. But they have some best practices that I think America can model their education system after. Number one, all of their teachers must have a master's degree, period. Number two, 80% of their teachers that began in the education field, they retired in the education field. 80%. That's high. In America, we lose 50% after 5 years. They out of the profession. Why? Because of regulations and hands are tied. We need to untie their hand so they can do what they were hired to do, and that's to educate that child, not to protect the system. Every concern of everyone associated with the school system, whether it's a bus driver, a lunchroom staff, the administrator, or the principal, their primary concern should be on that child sitting in that seat. Because if we fail to do that, as I stated before, there are dire repercussions that's going to follow. And I don't want to see that take place in Georgia. So I support the effort here as far as education reform, in the sense that we have to do a much better job preparing our young people for the workforce, because I see it every day. When businesses look to relocate, how's your workforce? How's your education system? Can you guarantee me that you will provide the qualified workers that I need to perform the mission for my company? If I relocate to Dunwood, if I relocate to Alpharetta, wherever the case may be. If not, I'm scouting somewhere else. And education, I'm here to tell you, it's the 21st century civil rights issue. We have to get on it, because when we fall behind South Africa and Vietnam, and all these companies, these countries are leapfrogging in front of America. And to echo Richard's point, we continue to dumb down education every single day. We need to raise the bar so our students can excel and perform, and they can do it. We just have to challenge them and not give them excuses as far as why they're not succeeding. So, thank you so much, and appreciate what you're doing, and thank you all for being here today. And I know I'm just trying about, but I am passionate about this because I see the results of it every single day. When I look at a child's face and they're saying, well, there's no way out for me. So, like, what's happening here? But I have no other choice. So, this is my speech all around the state. As I stated before, I've been in all 159 counties. I've been in 4 boards of education, and it's the same presentation. Think outside of the box. We've circled this mountain long enough and gotten the same results. And someone once said, that's insanity. And I'm not calling anyone insane, but something has to change. Thank you all so much.
Now y'all all know why I love Melvin. So he's fabulous. So thank you so much for speaking with us. I know he's busy, he's got somewhere he's got to be, but he took time to come here. And he does tie it all together, and he used that word relevance. And that is so important. That's part of that entry ramp into the middle class lifestyle that we talk about. The Hall County Superintendent that I met with talked about that. How do we make education relevant for the high school kid? How do we show them that this is the entry ramp? How can we change things so that they see that? One of the things I asked him was, well, what gets in your way? What's stopping you from showing kids how relevant this is or making education relevant? And what do you do about it? So we had a long conversation about what the Department of Ed, how the state gets in the way. Certainly and I know Congressman Kingston is gone, but how the federal government gets in the way with all kinds of regulations that stop, make things very difficult to unstick this in the box situation we have. Makes it difficult for Kelly working on a charter, makes it difficult for parents who want to do things, and so you're always fighting the system to offer relevance. So again, as parents, I'm going to connect it to showing back up during the session, calling your representatives, making your voice heard, because there's no one that knows about how to make things relevant for your child better than you do. You understand that. So again, I'm tying all that together. Make your voices heard and stay tuned for ways to do that as January approaches. So with that.